Good morning. Good Shabbos to the welcome to learning of Chitas. Today, the reading the sixth reading of the portion about Midbar in the book of Numbers. We are holding chapter 3, verse number 40. Vayema Hashem al Moshe and God said to Moshe, "Peked kol b'cher zachal of Bnei Yisrael." Please count all the male from the firstborn from the Jewish people. From the month and above, and count the number of their names. So again, Rashi says, just like Ben Levi, a Becher is also counted from the time he no longer characterized as possible premature birth. You wait for 30 days to see if the child is not what's called in the Gemara language a nefel, a child that is gone out of the capability of chashon and premature death. Verse 41. Lakatas levim li ani Hashem, you take the levim for me, I am God. Tachas kol b'cher, instead of all the firstborns with Bnei Yisrael, those behemoths levim, and also the firstborns of the animals levim. Tachas kol b'cher behemoths Bnei Yisrael, instead of the firstborns of the Jewish people's cattle. Yifkid Moshe kashetziv Hashem. He's saying Moshe counted the firstborns. It's called b'cher b'nei Yisrael, all the firstborns of the Jewish people. He called b'cher zachar, all the firstborns, talking the male firstborns of all the Jewish people. Mishmash Mesim, and they counted the names. From a year, from a month and above, the Kudeim Shnayim ve'esrim elef. There was 22,000. Ushleisha v'shivim Masayim, and 273. So out of all the 12 tribes, there was 22,273 firstborns. God spoke to Moshe. Take the Levites and switch them from the firstborn of every Jew. There's behemoths levim tachas behemoths behemtam, and the Levites animals instead of the firstborn of the Levites animals. I'm going to trade them off. I'm going to trade the firstborn to the firstborn. So Rashi says the Levites animals are not redeemed, the clean firstborn animals of the Jews, but they're firstborn donkeys. One land belongs to a Levi, could exempt many firstborn donkeys of an Israelite. The proof is that Scripture counts excess numbers of the firstborn men, but it doesn't even mention any extra animals. It doesn't tell us how many animals there were more or less. So we see that it was not that it was one for one. By the firstborn of the children, it was one for one. And the 273 children of the Israelites that was Dufan Alavim who required who were excessive, they were excess of the Levium. So how because there was more firstborn of Jews. Then there were 273 more firstborns of the Jewish people than the Levi. So what do you do with those 273 Israelites who were above the number of the Levi? Rashi says the firstborn amongst those who require redemption, these are 273 in excess of the Levi. From them you shall take 5 shekel per head. And there where we get the mitzvah of pidyon haben of 5 shekel. And the 73 in access to the Levim, from them you take 5 shekel, right? Such was the sale price for Yosef, the firstborn of Rachel. The price was 20 silver pieces, 20 dinarim, 4 of which equal a seller. So this is where we get the 5 shekel because we are all redeeming the sin that was done to Joseph as he was sold for 20 dinarim, which equal up to 4 dinar, which is 4 salah, which is 5 shekel. Verse 47. You take 5 shekel per head. The shekel HaKadosh. Tikre esim geda shakon. That's with the esim geda, 20 geda, 20 dinarim per shekel. A shekel. Satas kesel Aaron Levanim. You give the money to Aaron and his sons. Doesn't go to the Levi, it goes to the Kohen. Peduya adufim behem. So the truth is, both the money and the Levium also were given over to the Kehanim. The Levium were given over to God to do this, to help the Kehanim. So ultimately, everything was given over to the Kehanim to help them in their service. Moshe took the redemption money and the access of those redeemed Levites. Those remaining after the Levites redeemed them with the very selves, there was the remaining 273. And took the money for the firstborn of children of Israel, 1,365 of the holy shekel. This was the sum total. Rashi says 5 shekel per head. For 200 firstborn, 1,000 shekel. For 70 firstborn, 350 shekel. For 3 firstborn, 15 shekel. So that's how you have this number. Moshe said, how should I do it? If I tell the firstborn to give me 5 shekel, it will tell me I'm from those redeemed by the Levites. How do we know which of the 273? Who are the lucky ones and unlucky ones to be pushed out of all the firstborns? What did he do? He bought 22,000 slips of paper. He wrote in them Levite, and 273 slips. He wrote in 5 shekel, and all the Levites lined up, and he jumbled them and put them in the urn and told them, "Come and take your slip." So 22,000 picked out the word that said Levi, and 273 picked out that it said 5 shekel. And that's the way they did it. It was a lottery. Moshe gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, al pi Hashem, on the mouth of God, and the command of God, kashetziva Hashem es Moshe, as God commanded to Moshe. That completes the Chumash of today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. Tanya today, we are in the middle of chapter 53 of Tanya. Last chapter, the first part of Tanya, the 53 chapters of Tanya. We now are in the middle of chapter 53, which the Alter Rebbe is explaining the revelation of godliness, how ultimately the Shekhinah comes down to the world. So we explained that in general, it's called Seder Shtalshlus, which means a progression, a way that comes down, a descent of the light of God that ultimately is revealed in this world. But in general, it comes through this light from the world of emanation to the world of creation, to the world of formation, and then ultimately to the world of action, which is still a spiritual world, which the world of action, through the malchus of that world, the Shekhinah of that world comes into this world through Torah, through the blueprint of the world of Torah. And that's the energy of the world comes through the Torah. But the Alter Rebbe said, then we have a jump. We have a situation that the Eibishter comes into the world not through this through this descent, but it jumps straight from the world of Atzilus and Bria, and it jumps straight into the world. And that's the meaning of the concept of the Beis HaMikdash. That's why it's called the house of holiness, and especially the Koche Kochim, the Holy of Holies, and especially in the Aron, where there was a revelation of God in this world. In this world, there was a revelation of God. That happened all till the destruction of the first temple. That the Aron was in the base of Mikdash. And what happened in the second temple? In the second temple, there was no Aron, there was no ark, and there was no tablets that were in them. So the Gemara actually said, the Talmud said, these are among the 5 things found in the first temple, lacking in the second temple. Our Sayyidina said, that the Shechina did not abide. That's it. The Aron was missing, so there was a missing link. This means Pirush, Madrega Shechina, not that God forbid the Shechina did not abide there. It rather speaking, because it's still Beis Hamikdash, that Madrega Shechina, that which is that the category of the Shechina, which was used to abide in the first, who used to rest in the first Beis Hamikdash, which was not in the matter of ordinary descent of the world. So there was not that revelation where it jumped the world. It came down into more of a Seder Stausus, into more of a degradation of a descent from world to world. So it was this level of Shechina that did not abide in the second temple, only a far lesser level. What the second temple, it was the Shechina, the presence of God, according to an order of the gradual ascent. Lapshus Malchus Tatzilas b'Malchus the Bria. The connection of Malchus, the kingship of the world of Atzilas, came into the world of Bria. With the Bria, the Malchus, the Yitzira. And in the Bria came into the Malchus of Yitzira. And from Yitzira, from the world of emanation, it came Kachi Kashin Dasiya. It came into the Holy of Holies, Chachma, the wisdom of the world of Asiya. Kachi Kashin Dasiya, from Chachma, the world of Asiya, came into Malchus of the world of Asiya, and then into the base of Mikdash. Malchus Yitzira, Hamaleveshet B'Kochi Kochi Mercy. So the Malchus of that, Malchus that the Yitzira, the Malchus, the kingship of Yitzira, of formation, came into the wisdom of the world of creation, and that's why it came into the Holy of Holies. So it was still an unbelievable revelation. Chachma of the world of Asiya came into the Holy of Holies, and therefore, even though there was no Aron, there was no ark there, and there was no tablets there. Still in all, nobody was allowed to go into the Holy of Holies, because over there was the revelation of wisdom of the world of Asiya, which is an unbelievable revelation in itself. It's not as high as the first state of Mikdash was the revelation of the wisdom of the world of emanation, of the world of creation. But it was still a revelation. And Levada Kohen Gadol, still only the Kohen Gadol in Kippur was allowed to go into the Holy of Holies. Now the question is, what do we have today? Shchad, Beis Hamikdash, when the temple was destroyed, Ein LaKadosh Baruch Hu Be'olam Dam Am Shalach. The Gemara says, since the destruction of the temple in which the sanctuary was a part, God resides in the shrine of the Holy of Holies of Torah. Now, where is the revelation of this Shechina? The revelation of this Shechina is in the Torah mitzvahs that we do. As mentioned earlier, the Shechina must reside in the Holy of Holies. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be, has but 4 cubits of halacha alone. Torah is a shrine for the Holy of Holies that comes connected, that connects God with the world, so that HaKadosh, the illumination of the Shechina, which is Kadosh, is holy, separate and apart from the world, should become Baruch Hu, means Baruch, the word root for drawing down into the world. That's the way the Alter Rebbe explains this to the Gemara. Mishachar Beis Hamikdash ein la Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's a general. Kadosh means separate. Baruch Hu, blessed is he. Kadosh is a concept of separation. Baruch means connection. So Ein La Kadosh Baruch Hu. The holiness doesn't have a bridge to come to the world. The 4 cubits of Jewish law. Therefore, it says in the Ethics of our fathers, even if one Jew sits and learns Torah, Shechina imay, the presence of God is with him. As is brought down in Brachas, in the first part of the chapter of Brachas, the phrase Shechina is with him means, although he is a being of this material world, this person who's learning by himself is a creation and is part of the world. The Shechina is nevertheless with him. The level of Shechina that is with him is so that's the way Malchus comes down into the world, from Atzilus comes into the world of Bria, that comes down into the world of creation, that comes down to the world of formation, that comes down to the world of action, comes into him. Malchus of the world of Asiyah, that's all connected to Malchus of the world of Atzilus, comes into him. He becomes part of that. That's the power of learning Torah. It is thus inferior even to the dwelling of the Shekhinah, the second temple, because it's Malchus, not the Chachma of Asiyah, it's the Malchus of Asiyah. And dwelling that did not require the vestment of Malchus to Asiyah, the world of action. It differs from the drawing down of Shekhinah, the world in general, in which the case of dental progressive descent occurs in the Shekhinah, which resides in the worlds, passes through the additional garments of Klipas Noiga, while Torah mitzvahs do not. Torah mitzvahs come straight from Malchus to Asiyah, Malchus of the world of action, and come straight into the person without any garments. Reason that it must go through Malchus of Asiyah is that its overwhelming majority of mitzvahs of Torah involve physical action. The Shekhinah therefore descends into the level of action of Asiyah. That's why it's called the world of action. I shall be explained. The Yag Mitzvah Torah Kulam, the Yag Mitzvah Torah, because the 613 commandments of the Torah, Ruban Kulam, are by a large percent involved in the word, in the Maisius, in action. Begarat Luis Bediver, and those are connected to speech. Machshava, human thought, from a Talmud Torah. For example, the learning of Torah, which is connected to one's thought and one's speech. Birchas HaMazarin, and the recital after the blessings after the meals. Ukrishma, and the whole concept of recital of the Shema, tefillah and prayer, all connected to speech. This is so, even though these mitzvahs involve thought, seeking to grasp the concept when one studies and to experience the kavanot of Shema and prayer. And as such, they're not bound up with action. So they're all in thought and speech. A lot of time, kavana, intentions are all connected to thought. It's been ruled that meditation is not validity of speech. And a person does not fulfill his obligation with kavanah levad, with thought alone, until he says it with his mouth. So even when his manner of meditation is close to speech, as the case when one thinks about the way in which he will utter the certain word, which is called hirur, until he gives it utterance with his lips. Moreover, it has been ruled that the motion of the lips, while one is speaking, is considered an action, in which case all mitzvahs involve action, because we all need to ultimately bring our thought into speech. The Rebbe, our Rebbe, explains that the Alter Rebbe will now anticipate the following question. It still remains to be understood. Why specifically 4 cubits of halacha take the place of the Holy of Holies? Why does it say the 4 cubits of halacha? Because it said there's 4 cubits of Torah. Why does the Gemara say no? The 4 cubits of Jewish law. Why should this be so when a Jew studies Torah, which is not halacha? He learns Gemara, or he learns any kind of concept, which is not Jewish law. Why is it only that Jewish law is the place of where God resides? For there, to the Shekhinah is with him, and when he learns regular. Alter Rebbe therefore explains halacha possesses a special merit of expressing the divine will. As explained at length in the Geras HaKodesh, we're going to learn one day the Geras HaKodesh, chapter 20. Yag mitzvah Torah, Yeshev mitzvah Rabbanan, 6 of the commandments of the Torah, which is halacha, together with the 7 commandments of the rabbis, they combine together 620. The Gematria Keser, which is equal to the word Keser. Keser. Keser is a crown. Keser is 220. 620. Sorry. Chaf is 20. Taf is 400. Reish is 200. So Keser, which is the crown, is 620, which is symbolic to the 613 commandments in the Torah. And the 20 and the 7 rabbinical commandments, the rabbis added, like Hanukkah, Purim, etc., rabbinical enactments that are considered make a bracha and are considered like a mitzvah, like the brachas that we make on food. It's also a commandment, one of the mitzvahs that are Rabbanan. So they are considered the crown. All of them together are considered a crown. What does it mean, the crown? It's something that's higher even than the head. The crown is what is on top of the king. So that is the crown. That's the Ratzin. The crown is symbolic to Ratzin Keser. The attribute of Keser, that's why you have Eser Sfiris, 10 manifestations, which all start from Chachma, but upon it is Keser, is the crown. That's why in some places in Kabbalah, actually, the 10 Sfirot are Keser, Chachma, Bina. They don't count Das. In the Alter Rebbe, he counts Chachma, Bina, Das as separate. So he counts Das as one of the attributes in this Eser Sfirot. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe counts Keser as Ratzin. It's not part of the 10 Sfirot. It is the crown. It is the will of all. It is the will. And that's why the Alter Rebbe Chassidus says the Ratzin of the Eibishter, the will of God, is the commandments of God. There's Ratzin, there's will, and there is Chachma. So on one hand, Ratzin actually goes further than Chachma, because Chachma, wisdom of God, is only in thought and speech. But Ratzin, the will of God, comes ultimately down in action in a physical entity. But without Chachma, Ratzin needs to have Chachma. The will of God is the Chachma, comes through the Chachma God. Without the wisdom of the Torah, you wouldn't know what the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was. How would you know what the will of God is without Chachma, without the wisdom, without the Torah? Therefore, it's again so important for us, if we want to accomplish the will of God, Kesed, to connect to the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the will of the Eibishter, we must all learn Torah. Because it's ultimately the Ratzon, the Kesed is connected. The Kesed is the crown that goes above the head, is connected to the Ratzon of the Eibishter, which is closed in the wisdom of God. Thus, in addition to the fact that Torah is God's wisdom, which in its descent, in a downward progressive world, becomes the shrine of the Holy of Holies for the Shekhinah, there's an additional quality of it being supernal will, which is even loftier than wisdom. This uniquely found in the halacha and the mitzvah. That's the power of halacha. So halacha is not only the wisdom of God. Halacha is the law. The 613 commandments is halacha. What you should do and what you should not do. That's halacha. It's not a philosophy, but it has within it the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you have a double concept in every halacha. That's why it's important to learn halacha. Not only to know what to do, but it's important to learn halacha because within halacha, you have both the ratzon of the Eibishter, the will of God, which is halacha, which is the law, and you have the chachma of the Eibishter, both together packaged as one. This is uniquely found in halacha and mitzvahs as they are the expression of the supernal will. And therefore, the more, that's why the Mishnah says, now where is God found? In halacha. Where is the Eibishter found today? Where is the Kachi Kachi? Where's the Holy of Holies of God in this world today when you don't have a temple? Not only you don't have the first temple, you don't have the second temple. Where is the Eibishter found? In the Dalal HaMashalach and the 4 cubits of Jewish law. Because Jewish law has within it the concept of the wisdom of God and the concept of the will of God. Which the wisdom and the will of God, the will of God and the wisdom of God is one with God. As we have explained over and over, they cannot separate the wisdom and the will of God from God himself. So there you have, when you do learn halacha, and by learning halacha, learning Torah, learning the will and the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have Hashras Hashchina, you have the presence of God with you. Further to an earlier statement, that the Torah derived from supernal wisdom, the Alter Rebbe will now say that the oral law also emanates from that source. God founded the earth with wisdom. What does that mean? When the verse says, God founded, Yasad, established, founded the world through wisdom. He had Torah Sheba'al Peh. This is the oral law, Gemara. The Nafke Mechachmei law, which is derived from the supernal wisdom. As is brought down in the Zohar. The father, Chachma, Yasad Bait, to beget the daughter. The father had a daughter. Malchus, the oral law, is, as it's written, Malchus, the mouth, which is the oral law, has connected specially to the father. Every daughter has special connection to the father. Every daughter. So in Kabbalah, father is Chachma, Malchus, daughter is the Gemara, and the Gemara, the Chumash, Torah Shebiksav is the son. Torah Sheba'al Peh is the Gemara, and the Chachma especially resides in the Gemara in oral law, which is the foundation of halacha. You cannot know halacha. That's why the Mishnah is the oral law, but explained in the Gemara. And therefore, it's important to learn Gemara. It's important to learn the Talmud. It's important to know, to understand the oral law, because by connecting to the oral law, we ultimately, through wisdom, not just learning the law, what to do and not to do, but actually learn the Gemara, to learn the behind the scene, to why we do these things, and what is it based on, and what's the argument about it, and how do we do it, and when do we do it, etc., etc. That's the way we connect ultimately through our learning to the wisdom of the wisdom of God, which is the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This completes the Tanya of the day. Beautiful way to get ready for Matan Torah as we go into Shabbos and to a 3-day Shabbos and Yontiv, which we're not going to learn together till Tuesday morning. which we go to tonight, today to Shabbos. I hope that you continue learning Tanya, as tomorrow, if you learn Tanya in Shem, you will finish the 53rd chapter of Tanya, which is a truly great celebration that we have finished together the Tanya together, and we have learned the complete Tanya together, the complete first part of Tanya together. It's a great schus for me and a schus for all of us that sit here together and learn Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe, the second part of Tanya is called Shara Yichud Ve'emunah, which is the portal of oneness and faith of God. It's really a beautiful. We're going to go into such beautiful learnings together in Rich Shem on Tuesday. But by the time we get to Tuesday, we're going to be holding chapter 2 of Shara Yichud Ve'emunah. So I hope that you learn Tanya by yourself, you do Chumash by yourself, as we go into the next Pasha, Pashas Nasei, which on Tuesday we'll start the third reading of Pashas Nasei. I want to wish you all a wonderful Shabbos, beautiful Shabbos, and a beautiful Yontiv. Kabbalah Satera, we should all come together on Sunday to receive the Torah, B'simcha, B'pnimius. We should be able to receive the Torah with great joy and an innerly recepting, to receive it in an inner way, and self-understood, to rededicate ourselves to the learning of Torah, to whatever in the situation you're in, rich or poor, healthy, unhealthy, good or bad, we should rededicate ourselves to the learning of Torah. And as the Alter Rebbe just ended, the Gemara says that the connection, the presence of God is especially in the learning of Torah Sheba'al Peh, the learning of the oral law, which learning of Tanya is all part of the learning of the oral law. And Chassidus, it's actually Pnimis Satera. So we should continue to strengthen ourselves in the aspect of learning of Torah. There's nothing greater, and that's what the holiday of Shavuos and the holiday of Matan Torah symbolizes, the concept of the receiving of the Torah by God and the acceptance of the Torah by the Jewish people, to learn it, to treasure it, to keep it special, and to never forget it. I wish you again a good Shabbos, a good Yontiv. I invite you all to participate at Chabad this coming Yontiv. We start on Saturday night, actually, with learning a whole night from 11:30 till 4 in the morning. You're welcome to come to come and learn. We have a scholar in residence, Rabbi Barber from New York. He's going to inspire us the entire night on Saturday night. In Mircham on Sunday, we're at 10:30 around. We're going to daven at 9:30, around 10:30. We're going to read the 10 Commandments. You should all come. We're going to celebrate that by having a beautiful dairy luncheon after the services. And Rabbi Barber again will speak to us after the luncheon. And on Monday, second day of Shavuos, is also, don't forget, Yisker, the day that we remember those souls that have passed on, whether it's our parents and grandparents, or those that have lost children, brothers and sisters. So we should come together again and remember them on the second day of Yontiv. And that's going to be at Shul around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I wish you all a good Shabbos and a good Yontiv. And we should all, Mitzshem, will continue the Chitas of the day coming Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Have a beautiful, wonderful Shabbos.